All right, election. What's going to happen, or what can happen in November? Kind of a question that has been on a lot of people's minds. It's actually a pretty important question, too, because who the fuck knows? We're in an unprecedented time. We have like, we're looking at an election where it's basically two really old, shitty men running for office. One is Trump, a racist. One is Biden, an idiot. Like I personally, I'm running for Biden. I'm running for Biden all the way because there's a actual tangible level of harm reduction when it comes to voting in for your votes, and like that's what Biden is. Biden is harm reduction. Actually, third party won't do anything. All third party is going to do is going to further strengthen the Republican stranglehold, I guess is the word to use on it, or the word to use, and that's it. There's no other way to really put that, because we have a electoral system that doesn't actually encourage third parties. I kind of wish that wasn't the case, but also because a third party candidate is Jo Jorgensen, I really am kind of happy that's not the case. As I've discussed previously, she's kind of, in order to effectively enact American libertarianism, you have to get really dangerously close to fascism. That it's just not worth it. But that's another conversation for another time. I actually did a video. If you type !YouTube, you can get to my YouTube channel where I did an entire video looking over her platform and talking about why some of the things she wants are bad. But to really reiterate and hammer home what's going to happen is it's either going to be Biden or it's going to be Trump. We have a two-party electoral system because of the Electoral College. We actually don't have free and open elections. We don't. I mean, they're not an election of the people. They're an election of representatives of the people who have to get nominated and have to go through literally jack shit just to be like, oh hey, I'm that's the case. It's not even like it's not very I would just say it's not representative at all. But here's the thing. When we are looking at the electoral system and when we're looking at the potential outcomes, there's two very distinct potential outcomes. Number one, Trump wins. Number two, Biden wins. So what happens in a Trump presidency? We already know. I mean, we know that there's science denial runs rampant. We know that the DNC gets fuck tons of money because Trump is the greatest thing that ever happened to them. We know that, we know that marginalized individuals, transgender individuals like myself, gay people, black people, Hispanics, anyone who's not like cis, het, white are in danger. We know that. We've seen this. This is how the past 3.5 years have been. And I'm not saying that to be like, oh my God, fear mongering. I'm saying that because we've seen it. We've actually seen this happen. We've seen this go out, and I don't want to see this. As bad as it sounds, I kind of like living here. I kind of like being alive. I actually like America for the most part. Yeah, there's a lot of really shitty stuff, but it's fixable. We can address that. That's awesome. I actually like this country, and I don't really want to not live in a country like this, because we have very strong institutions of liberty and very strong institutions of justice, even if there are problems with those right now. So we're going to effectively get more of the same. And what's going to happen is it's going to drive the overall, hey, how's it going? Magical Indica, howdy yourself. I'm doing well. I hope you're doing well today. But it's important to realize that the outcomes that will come from this is you might see a stronger growth in the third party. You're going to ostensibly see the main Democratic Party platform get shifted much further to the right, because they're going to look at this as saying, oh, we kowtowed to the left and we lost. And we can no longer adjust to a progressive platform. I've talked about before how we don't have a actual, our Democratic Party, which is what we say is the left of our political spectrum, isn't actually leftist. They're just less far right, which is true. I don't know. Right now, we're talking about what the outcomes of the possible outcomes of the election will be, and what's going to happen if Biden wins, what's going to happen if Trump wins, because there's really only two distinct possibilities here. Where if what are you doing, Kat? Sorry, my cat is trying to get to my other cat, and I don't fucking know why. She doesn't even like the other cat. I don't fucking know. Cats are weird like that. Hey, Lana. No, out of there. No, you can come on stream. You can come on stream. This is Lana. She's a little turd. So the Democratic Party will go further to the right. They're not going to appeal to their quote-unquote left, oh, no, Biden was fucking terrible. Like, Bernie was really the best candidate they had, and they said no. But Biden's establishment, and the DNC is still very much an establishment party. They want someone who is establishment. They want someone they can control, and that's why they picked Biden. But they're going to stop this idea of attempting to enact progressive politics when, in fact, this year we're going to see a ton more progressives be elected to the House of Representatives, maybe even a couple in the Senate. And, left progressivism is only getting more popular. And actually, it's populism. It's really what it is. It is populism. Then they're gonna try and grab the center and more of the far right people just to try and get in power. And so it's gonna drive that Overton window to the right. Now, what's gonna happen if Biden wins? Sorry, we just talked about Trump. What's gonna happen if Biden wins the election this year? If Biden wins, what's the big takeaway is going to be is people thought it would be better under Biden. They thought that people are going to think, oh, we're going to have a lot better, things. We're going to have a lot better, protests are going to go away. But none of it's going to go away. None of it's, I want to like Tulsi and Yang. I think Yang's platform was very, so actually, we're going to talk about some Crowder here in a minute. I got a video of his we're going to go over, and I'm going to fucking, Crowder's, we're going to talk about Crowder in a bit. But I want to like Tulsi and Yang. I just don't think either one of them were prepared enough. Yang just had too small of a platform, and Tulsi just didn't really have the reach. I don't know. Some people are afraid that she might go, left to left type, but I don't think she will. I think she just needs a bit more experience and a bit more time in the ring to really, really, really sink that home. But at any rate, so if Biden wins, people are going to see that what progressives have been saying the whole time, that the problem isn't the president, it's the system. It's the system that we live under. It's the fact that we have rampant laissez-faire capitalism. It's the fact that businesses and corporations get so much money they don't pay anything in taxes. It's the fact that the income and the wealth gap is so drastically huge. And that's really what's going to boil down to. It's going to boil down to, people are going to start seeing this, and they're going to start to say, oh, well, I thought that Biden was supposed to fix this. Biden's not going to be able to fix it. Biden's not going to be able to alleviate the concerns of the working class. Biden is not... Sorry, I'm trying to get something in here, and it's... There we go. Sorry, I was trying to get out something in here, and now I can't fucking find it. Notepad. That's what I wanted. No, where's my pen? God damn it. All right, whatever. Basically, they're going to go through... You know what? I can just use... Never mind, those are bold markers. Fuck this. I wanted to write a few things down for further discussion points. But, hey, whatever. Fuck me, right? Anyway, I don't have anything up there, do I? Nope. Alright, cool. But what's ostensibly going to happen is you're going to see people move further to the left because they're going to see that there is a system of inequality. How do we fix the income gap? How do we fix, corporate tax rate? How do we fix, how can we really kind of raise up this lower level and make it more fair and more equitable for people of all places. And I think that's what ultimately would drive a progressive candidate to give the presidency a very serious run either in 2024 or 2028. If Biden wins, that all resides around Biden winning. Trump wins, we're not going to see another progressive candidate for at least 8 to 12 years, to be honest. And that may be doomerist, but I just don't see it happening. And in fact, 8 to 12 years, I don't even know what the fuck the future's going to look like. I couldn't have told you 8 years ago when Obama was running his second term, that we were going to be in the middle of like if you would have told me 8 years ago we'd be in the middle of a global pandemic that all people have to do is stay home for like 2 months at a time, not come into contact with other people, just be smart about how you're interacting. Like, yeah, restaurant stuff can still be open for food and delivery and all that kind of fun stuff, but wash your hands, be smart, wear masks, social distance. I would have said you're fucking insane. I had a much cheerier outlook. I would have said, people are responsible. We can get by this. If you were to tell me that we'd be having daily protests in the street about police brutality, I wouldn't have believed you. Not to say that police brutality wasn't a thing back then, but I wouldn't have believed you that we would have had a massive movement. Like, it just goes to show you the point that I'm getting at here is that I don't know what 8 years is going to look like. I don't even know what 4 years is going to look like. So that's why I'm really, really, really hoping that Biden wins and we can start to show the bigger American populace that, look, the only way you're really going to enact a lot of these changes that you really want to see is by electing a progressive candidate. Because you can't do anything else. Like, there's no candidate outside of progressive spaces that are really going to do this stuff. We know Republicans are super huge capitalists. Democrats are super huge capitalists. Like, actually, both parties are effectively liberal parties. With some, so we can hit on the rights in a minute, but like, both parties are liberal parties. Like, by definition, like, yeah, the Republicans may care a little bit less about civil rights. They have a lot of people in power who sure seem not to, but your average Republican, like, I wouldn't go as far as saying your average Republican is okay with, people not having civil rights. I think the average Republican's like, oh yeah, no, black people should have the same rights that I do. It's really the vocal extremists that disagree. But I don't know. I can't speak for Republicans. I'm not a Republican. I don't really associate with Republicans. What's important, though, to get at and to understand is that, like, that's kind of where, like, they're liberal parties. That's what I'm getting at. They're all about capitalism. They're all about that, like, like that crazy self-percent. Yeah. I know the meme. They're all about this, like, promoting capitalism, and we need to effectively, like, I wouldn't say, well, I'll talk about COVID in a minute, but I wouldn't actually say that, like, I actually don't like capitalism. I like free markets. I think free markets are important, but we don't need to operate that under a capitalistic structure. I think it's important that we understand that there's better ways to go about this. There's a lot of reasons why I say the way I do. Basically, putting the money in palms of people, because you put money, trickle down doesn't work. We know this. Jobs just don't get created. Wealth doesn't go down. Wealth stays up. We've seen this for 50 years. But that's really why this whole, like, what's going to happen in the future is important. Because if we do want to see actual real progress change, if we do want to see a stronger and wealthier middle class, you have to start enabling those areas. But yeah, that's basically one of the two, like, places that Joe Biden versus Trump is going to end up. Like, you're not really going to see a third party candidate win. They just don't have the chance. On a national scale, there's too many hard party line voters. There just is no chance. Like, and there's a lot of people I know on the Republican Party that are like, well, I'm just going to, not vote for Trump, because they're like, I don't like Trump, but I don't know what to do. So, like, it's kind of like 2016 for the Democrats all over again. It's crazy. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know which one's going to happen. I really hope Biden wins, but it's tough to say.